Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about vowels. So vowels are pretty dang pivotal to Hmong. They make up every single word you're going to come across. Sometimes you'll look at a vowel and you'll be like, that's a consonant. No, it's a vowel. That's just one of them, but that's a funny one. So hopefully this video helps you learn how to read, write, spell all the vowels. And those are absolutely pivotal. I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to work on are the single vowels. The single vowels are the most simple ones. There is one tricky one that mostly throws off non-native speakers. And if you haven't grown up speaking Hmong, but you are Hmong, you might have problems with it if you haven't spoken it. But I'm pretty sure with a little bit of practice you can get it. So I'll try to explain it as clearly as possible. As you can see, I have the vowel on the left, right here. And then I have an English pronunciation of how it's supposed to sound. And where I've underlined the vowel, that's what it's supposed to sound like. And then I have an example over here. So I'll go through it and then I'll sound them all out. So A, the vowel A is pronounced ah, as in apple. E is pronounced A, as in hey. I'm sorry, I pronounced that one in Hmong, but the letter I is pronounced E, as in eat. O is pronounced aw, as in odd. U is pronounced oo, as in who. And W is the tricky one that non-natives kind of get mixed up on. It's a mixture of like saying oo and at the same time. It's a little bit difficult, but if you start out saying oo like that and then try to add in as you're saying oo, you might get what the vowel is supposed to sound like. And so you start out saying ooh, I don't know. That probably was a bad explanation, but what the vowel is supposed to sound like is uh, 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 and it's pretty difficult, but this is a really important vowel that you will hear a lot in Hmong. And so if you practice it, if you have a native friend, or if you are a native, maybe ask your family or something like that, and perhaps they could help you out with that pronunciation. And so the examples I have for A would be ba, which means flower. And then for E, I have ne, which means you too. And then for I have G, which means 5. For O, I have Ga, which means you. And then for U, I have Hu, which means to call. And for W, I have G, which means to scream. So those are the single vowels. And so next up, I'll be writing down the double vowels. And those are not very complicated. There is one tough one, but that's pretty much it. It's just like the same thing with W. There's one tough double vowel, but I'm pretty sure you can get it. All right, so now we have our double vowels. You might notice that I haven't included all the double vowels. If you're native and you have a little bit of experience with reading, that'll come right after these. But the first double vowel is a combination of A and I, and that's pronounced I, as in like the word lie, or the word like your eye, or something like that, like you see with your eyes. Same pronunciation. AU is pronounced ow, as if you're like saying ow, like if you got hurt. So just ow. And there is one exception to this rule, to this vowel. For most vowels, there are no exceptions except this one. Occasionally, you might hear, if you're talking to a Hmong person who has a last name of Lo, you might hear him say, Gu ya Hmong seng Lo. And so Lo is spelled L-A-U-J, but you might notice that he's not saying Gu ya Hmong seng Lao. He or she is saying Lo, as if it's just an O. You'll hear that very often, actually, because that's a very, very common pronunciation of the last name. but just to let you know, that's pretty much the only exception to that rule. The word or the letters A, W, I'm sorry, are the most difficult, I feel like, for non-natives to pronounce. It's pretty difficult for me. And so that first AW, what it's supposed to sound like, would be like the English, like ah, or something like that. As if you're going to the dentist and he asks you to open your mouth and say ah. It's that kind of ah. And then you start to mix it with the Hmong W. And so if you hear me say ah, like that. And from what I've noticed, many non-natives, they pronounce it R for some reason. That might be because sometimes it might sound like an R, but it's definitely not. It is not R. So practice that one a little bit. So like that. The letter or the vowel IA is just like in the name Maria. Ia, 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 kind of like that. And then UA is a combination of like saying oo and at the same time. Just say ua, ua, ua. And so for examples, I have dai, which means like the animal bear. Bol, which means to know. Lal, which means they. Ia, which means bitter. And ua, which means to do. So next up, I'm going to be talking about the double vowels, and those behave a little bit differently. Okay, just like I promised, we're going to be covering the double vowels, if that makes any sense to you. So these are the vowels that repeat the vowel. And so there are 4 of them. So I only wrote down 2. I think you noticed that. But one of them is a green Hmong vowel, and so I'll be covering that in the green Hmong video. And the other one is a vowel that you rarely ever hear. So I won't exactly be covering that because I doubt that you'll ever hear it in your lifetime. I've heard it maybe once. And it is a Laotian word on top of that. And so I'll explain that to you at the end of this, but I'm not going to bother writing it down because it's practically useless. You won't ever use it. So the first one is EE. That vowel is pronounced just like the singular vowel, E, which is pronounced A, but you're putting an NG on it. So the example word that I have right there is length. So EE is pronounced eng, eng, as in length, eng, eng. And the example word that I have for that is heng, which means very. Now we have O, and just like the singular vowel O, it's pronounced O, except with an NG on it. So ong, ong, ong. And the example word I have for that is zhong, which means good. So hopefully that helps you. But the one vowel that you're not going to pretty much ever use is 2 W's. So WW, and that's pronounced ung, ung. So just like a W, but with an NG on it. And you only hear that in one word, and that word is kung, kung. And that's supposed to be like 30 minutes past like an hour. So Hmong people might say bei mong kung, which means 3:30 or 3:30. You'll never use it unless you really want to say bei mong kung. I don't know if every single Hmong person will understand you when you say that, because not all of them speak Lao. A lot of them do, but not all of them. So there is another way to say 3:30, and that's probably more safe. But this ends the tutorial on how to write vowels in Hmong and how to pronounce vowels and read them. So hopefully you found that helpful. Next video I'll be covering consonants, and then I'll be covering tones after that video. So hopefully this helps. Subscribe to the website if you want to. Hopefully you'll find more use out of it. I'll be doing more videos than just vowels and consonants and tones. I'll be doing more grammar videos as well. So hopefully you get very addicted to learning this because I love Hmong. Anyways, see you later in the next video.